Fix your eyes on this one truth. God is madly in love with you. Take courage, hold on, be strong. Remember where our help comes from. Oh, 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 Swing wide, all you heavens, let the praise go up as the walls come down. All creation, everything with breath, repeat the sound. All His children, clean hands, pure hearts, good grace, good God. His name is Jesus. Swing wide, all you heavens, let the praise go up as the walls come down. All creation, everything with breath, repeat the sound. All His children, clean hands, pure hearts, good grace, good God. His name is Jesus. Swing wide, all you heavens, let the praise go up as the walls come down. All creation, everything with breath, repeat the sound. All His children, clean hands, pure hearts, good grace, good God. His name is Jesus. Oh, Jesus, our redemption, our salvation is in His blood. Jesus, light of heaven, friend forever, His kingdom come. Good morning. Welcome to First MB Church. It is a great day to gather together to worship this God that we were just singing about. I'm so glad that you are here. There are quite a few things going on within our church family, so you can look through the bulletin you were given on your way in to find out what might fit you and your family. And there is a connect card in that bulletin that we invite you to fill out as well, and you can drop that in the offering bag later in the service or in the boxes on your way out. But I invite you now to stand and say good morning to people around you, and then stay standing and we're going to sing together.
In the presence of my enemies, I'll raise a hallelujah.
know if you've paid attention to what you've been singing, but it's a proclamation that we believe Jesus is who he says he is. And we believe it is our job, we've been invited to stand and worship him in any circumstance, no matter what you are facing, no matter what anyone around you is facing. We're invited to be here, to stand in God's presence, to open our hands to him, open our hearts, and say, we don't get it, but we still believe you are who you say you are. That's the invitation. Because we do believe, we sing these songs to give him praise and to remind each other of this. So if you need us to be your voice today and you can't sing these words from your own heart, that's okay. You're still here and it's still true. But if you can give voice to this, sing at the top of your lungs, because Jesus is goodness and love and he invites us. So let's sing together.
I hear the Savior say, thy strength indeed is small. Child of weakness, watch and pray. Find in me thine all in all. Jesus paid it all to him I owe. Sin had left a crimson stain, he washed it white as snow. Now indeed I find thy power and thine alone can change the leper spots and melt the heart of stone. Jesus paid it all to him I owe. Sin had left a crimson stain, he washed it white as snow. And when before the throne I stand and he complete, Jesus died my soul to save. My lips shall still repeat, Jesus paid it. Jesus paid it all to him I owe. Sin had left a crimson stain, he washed it white as snow. Praise the one who paid my debt and raised this life up from the dead. Oh, praise the one who paid my debt and raised this life up from the dead. Oh, praise the one who paid my debt and raised this life up from the dead. Oh, praise the one who paid my debt and raised this life up from the dead. Jesus, you're the one. Jesus.
that truth, that you have paid it all. And God, we deserve to do the same for you. We deserve to give you everything. God, I just pray that this morning you would give us hearts for the nations, hearts for the poor. I pray that you would give us a heart to give to others. Because we know that you are so worthy and that you deserve everything that we have. I pray that we could stop getting caught up in material things and we could just give it away. We could live off of the least amount that we need. God, I pray that you would just give us that heart, because I know that without you, we are unable to do that. So God, give us strength to love the way that you do, because you are so worthy.
Amen. Have a seat.
Do you feel the world is broken? We do. Do you feel the shadows deepen? We do. Do you know that all the dark won't stop the light from getting through? We do. Do you wish that you could see it all made new? We do. Is all creation groaning? It is. Is a new creation coming? It is. Is the glory of the Lord to be the light within our midst? It is. Is it good that we remind ourselves of this? It is. Is anyone worthy? Is anyone whole? Is anyone able to break the seal and open the scroll? The Lion of Judah, who conquered the grave, he is David's root and the Lamb who died to ransom the slave. Is he worthy? Is he worthy of all blessing and honor and glory? Is he worthy of this? He is. Does the Father truly love us? He does. Does the Spirit move among us? He does. And does Jesus, our Messiah, hold forever those he loves? He does. Does our God intend to dwell again with us? He does. Is anyone worthy? Is anyone whole? Is anyone able to break the seal and open the scroll? The Lion of Judah, who conquered the grave, he is David's root and the Lamb who died to ransom the slave. From every people and tribe, every nation and tongue, he has made us a kingdom and priests to God, to reign with the Son. Is he worthy? Is he worthy of all blessing and honor and glory? Is he worthy? Is he worthy? Is he worthy of He is.
hearts are stirred, we, just kind of sing and listen. And so I'll say it again. You are worthy to break the seal and to open the scroll. You've ransomed us, you've saved us, and you are worthy of it all. So thank you. And we are so unworthy, but I do ask that you would help me to say the words that you want me to say that will bring glory to you, and that despite who I am and my weakness, that your strength will be seen. Amen. Good morning. Well, I'm Brent, and today I want to talk to you out of a passage in Ephesians 5. We're journeying through this New Testament book, and in chapter 5, the last half, and the beginning of chapter 6, it highlights three really common relationships. And we're going to talk about the first one today and the next two next week. But the three relationships that are really common around the world are the marriage, husband-wife relationship. There's like about 90% of adults end up getting married. So it's a common relationship, marriage. Another common relationship is the parent-child. Those kids, and they're everywhere, like all over the world, there are parents and children. And then the third relationship is the work relationship, the employer-employee. And we just know that most adults, we pray, have had or have a job. And so these are three common relationships. And Paul puts out three instructions for these three common relationships. And those three instructions are this. One, in these relationships, husband-wife, parent-child, employer-employee, there needs to be a leader, and then there need to be followers. Secondly, leaders need to learn how to lead well, because it's really frustrating to follow a leader who's not doing a good job. And followers need to learn how to follow the leader, and it's hard to lead when followers don't follow well. So it might seem common sense, but these are the three basic requirements or parameters around these relationships. Now, by the way, there are two other relationships where these three principles are also true. They're just not talked about in Ephesians 5 and 6, and that's the government leader and citizen. And then the other one is the pastor, elder, spiritual leader, church member. But here, these three relationships, these three requirements. Not every relationship requires a leader and a follower. So a friendship, like God doesn't say, now in your friendship, figure out who's the leader and who's the follower. So some relationships don't have these parameters, but these three do. So we'll start with the leader and follower. In Ephesians 5, verse 22, it says that wives submit to their husbands. That's what they should do. Later on, it says that husbands are the head or leader of their wives. We'll unpack that. But there is this idea, okay, of leading and following in the marriage. Okay, a little dicey. In this church, we don't run from hard topics. We'll just base them straight on. Okay, so that's one. Then it's the parent-child. Here, the parent is the leader, the child is the follower, the child obeys the parent. And then the employee is the leader, and the employee obeys and follows the leader. Now, can you really imagine a world where we didn't establish in our society, in our cultural mores, if we didn't establish the idea of needing leaders and followers? I mean, what's a family like if the parents don't have some authority over their kids? It's chaos. What's a work environment like if the boss says, hey, could you do this? Please do this, and the employee says, no, I don't have to do that. And that culturally, that would be okay. What if we had teachers and students where the students didn't have to do what the teacher says? Well, right now we have that in a lot of classrooms. And it's chaos, it's anarchy, there's low learning, there's no success. You see, everywhere we look, we see the benefit of a leader and a follower. And our little blue ball here, it spins relatively smoothly when in the right relationships, the leader is leading well and the followers are following well. Okay. Now, what's interesting, of the three that we're looking at today, well, we're introducing these three. I'll poke my head mostly into the first one. But of these three, marriage, parenting, and work, take Jesus out, take Bible out, take what God says out. Universally, around the world, people understand that it is a good thing for parents to lead their children. Take Jesus out of it. Society knows that it functions well when slaves, or now employees, obey their masters, their employers. But for whatever reason, there's resistance of that in the marriage. So outside of the marriage relationship, we understand that it's good to have a leader and a follower. And we understand that being in the role of leader does not put you in a position of higher worth or value over the follower. So the intern has to do what the president of the company says. But the intern knows that the president isn't of more value or worth than she is. We all know that role and function, whether you're the intern or the president of the company, that has nothing to do with value or worth. But somehow we come to the marriage relationship and we say two things. The marriage doesn't need a leader. And then we say, and if you're going to call the husband the leader, what you're also doing is relegating the wife to second-class citizen of lower value. And what I'm initially pushing for here is consistency of logic. Let's at least open the door to the reality that in so many other relationships, we know we need a leader and a follower, and we know that the leader, by having that role, is not of greater value to or worth than the one who's following. Okay? So I want to try and answer the question, why does a marriage need a leader? And why does the Bible call for the husband to be the leader? And to answer that question, we're going to go all the way back to Genesis chapter 3. God created two beautiful people, Adam and Eve, and he put them in a beautiful place, the Garden of Eden. He said, be fruitful, enjoy, multiply, work the ground, have fun. You got an amazing place to live with an amazing amount of freedom. Just enjoy it. One tree, don't go there. You will die. Do not eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. We do not know how long Adam and Eve walked around naked and happy before they went to the tree. Was it a few days, a few weeks, a few months, a few years, a few decades? We do not know how long they walked in the garden before they walked up to the tree. But there was that fatal day when Eve, with Adam in her shadow, walked up to the tree. And Eve had a conversation with the devil. And the result of that is she buckled to the lies. She took the fruit, the forbidden fruit. She took a bite. She turned to her husband and offered him. He ate the fruit. Now, what happens next is not only interesting, but it's really, really significant. Even though Eve sinned first, she was the first to eat the forbidden, God confronted Adam first. Don't miss that. I mean, and hold on to that. Even though Eve sinned first, God confronted Adam first. So hold that thought. So you got a couple of kids, a couple of siblings in a bedroom, and there's some noise and some screaming and a crash, and Mom's in the living room. Mom goes to the bedroom, and whether she cares or not, she asks the obligatory, is everyone all right? But after that question's out of the way, Mom asks the right question. Who started it? And they go like this, right? They point at each other. Mom plays judge and jury. And what does she do? The right thing is for her to confront the kid who started the fight, and then to confront the one who retaliated or jumped in afterwards. That's the right thing to do. That's what police officers do when they come upon the scene of a car accident they didn't see. Who started it? Who's most at fault? That's how insurance companies, pay out the claims. That's what happens in courtrooms. You have the murderer and the accessory to the murder. I mean, you've got, everywhere we look, the right way to distribute justice is to confront the one who started it first. So why, if God saw what Adam and Eve did, he saw them. I mean, why, if he knew that Eve sinned first, did he confront Adam first? The reason? Even though Eve was the first to eat the forbidden fruit, Adam failed first because he did not lead and protect his family. There's no evidence at all that in that wandering walk to the forbidden, Adam ever grabbed Eve's elbow and said, "Hey, babe, no, we don't. Well, no, that is death right there. We do not go there." Not once. There's no record of Adam whispering into Eve's ear while she's talking to the devil, the serpent, saying, "Babe, no, we got to go. Let's go." There's zero attempt to protect her soul. Zero attempt to lead. The reason that God confronted Adam first is he failed first. You fast forward to 2 Timothy chapter 2. It says the same kind of thing where it says, Adam created first. He's the one responsible. He was given the mantle of protecting. Okay? The reason that we need to have a leader in the marriage is that the devil is hell-bent on dividing Adam and Eve from God and dividing Adam from Eve. He is hell-bent nonstop in his assault against marriage. So God he knew this would happen, and so he had to establish a leader ahead of time. And so he could have said, okay, Adam and Eve, this is right at the beginning, where they're both there, meeting each other for the first time. Okay, they're there. He said, okay, rock, paper, scissors, 3 out of 5. Whoever wins, you're the leader. I mean, he could have done that. He could have said, okay, why don't you get to know each other? Who's more assertive? Who's more passive? Who's the natural leader? Who thinks better on their feet? You decide who the leader is. Like, those are both really bad ideas. God knew that so much was at stake with the nonstop assault of the devil on marriage that he had to assign someone. And if he just said, you choose, neither would do it, or they'd fight over who should do it. God assigned the man, the husband, to be the leader for no other reason than he was created first. In half the marriages on the planet, the wives are better leaders. That's statistically. I think it's higher than that, because I think ladies are just better leaders in a lot of ways. Men aren't given the mantle of being the leader of their home because they're better leaders. It's not because they make better decisions. It's not because, Lord knows, it's not because they're better looking. There's one reason. They were created first. I believe that if Eve had been created first, she would be the leader. It's not a value issue. It's not even a qualification issue. God had to choose somebody, and he chose Adam because he was created first. In other relationships, we fully accept this reality that we need a leader, and that being a leader doesn't relegate the follower to second-class status. The ground is equal, okay? That's why marriage needs a leader. And that's why God has called men to be the leader. All right, let's talk about leading well now. A husband needs to lead well, and the wife needs to follow well. I want to talk, men. Are you listening? So I want to talk to you men about what it might look like to lead well. You might be bracing yourself right now for some verbal whooping from the pastor. Going to tell you what terrible job you're doing, and I don't think you're going to feel that. I hope you don't. But I do want to talk about what it looks like to lead well as a husband and father. But first I want to talk to you ladies. Are you listening? So I want to talk to you ladies and clue you in on a little insight about men. Men generally don't feel good enough. We want to come across as strong and courageous and confident, but we just don't feel like we can quite meet the expectations of you ladies. I'm going to ask a question here that I want you ladies to be open-minded. Don't start sending me an email yet. Just a safe zone here. No judgment, all right? Just hear me to the end. Here's the question. Why does the Bible only mention nagging women and it never mentions nagging men? In Proverbs 21:9, it says, it's better to live on a roof than with a nagging woman. 10 verse later, verse 19, better to live in a desert than with a nagging woman. But the Bible says nothing about nagging men. And why is that? Short answer, men don't nag. Now, this is a general principle. Now let me explain why. There are two R words, they both begin with R, where ladies have a higher bar of expectation than men. One is relationship. Ladies are wired to want and need relationship. Men, we need a friend, we need some food, and we need a bedroom. And we're okay, frankly. We don't have the same level of emotional, relational need. We just don't. Which is why in marriages, it's usually, not always, the lady says, I just feel so distant from you. We need to talk more. Why don't you open up, So men, they don't feel good enough. They pick this up. They do not meet the high bar of relationship that women have. The other R word is responsibility. So, women are just more responsible than men in a lot of ways. So on Fridays, guys will go home from work. What are you doing this weekend? And I don't know, but I'm sure my wife has a honey-do list. Okay? But like what women leave on Friday, hey, what do you do? I don't know, but I'm sure my husband has a honey-do list for me. Like men don't give honey-do lists to their wives. That's not it's not possible, okay? But wives, did you do this? They're just more responsible of getting stuff done and making sure it's all done. And men, we always forget, or we don't do, or we drop it again, or why? I don't know why I didn't. I forgot. No, don't say I forgot. But I forgot, And so men, we don't feel good enough. The nagging part is rooted in the reality. That's why women are more susceptible to nagging than men. It's rooted in their wiring and their high bar of expectation, their standard for relationship and responsibility. And men, we just don't get there very often, not enough. And ladies, if this can help you to at least recognize that they're not, your husbands aren't like trying to be like irresponsible. They're not doing it on purpose. It's not like they don't want to have a relationship. If you could at least understand that these are just natural difficulties for men. Okay? But that's the root of nagging, is because you ladies have higher standards of expectation than us men do. Okay? Now with that, guys, are you listening? This is so bad. Guys, are you listening? Not really. Okay, just go home then. It's all right. There are 100 ways, I imagine, that we could say men should lead well. But I'm just going to use the love word. Okay, love your wives. Let's summarize it with that. And I've chosen 4 expressions of love. 4 ways that you can love your wives. And I'm saying as you love your wives, just as Christ loved the church and gave himself for her, that you need to love her. That is how you lead. Now, what is love? Love is behavior. It's what we do. It's our action. And I've chosen 4 words: submission, service, respect, and protect. So let's walk through this pretty quickly. It's quite interesting that while verse 22, Ephesians 5, says, "Wives, submit to your husbands as to the Lord." Verse 21, the previous verse says, "Submit to one another in the fear of Christ." So verse 21 says, everyone submits to one another in the fear of Christ. We'll get to that. Verse 22 says, "Wives, submit to your husband as to the Lord." And so how can both of these be true? Well, they can, because the posture of our character as followers of Christ is not to be dictatorial. Like, I'm the husband, you do what I say. You're my maid, you're my servant. That is so far from where Christ's heart is. This is why when I talk about men leading their home, I don't use the word authority. Because I honestly don't think I have authority over Joan. I'm a leader, and I'm a protector. When Christ laid down his life, that's the model of how I love and lead. And in that humility, I submit. Husbands, yeah, we are the spiritual leaders and protectors of our family, but day after day, again and again, love says we submit. That's what love does. It gives in. It doesn't fight over everything. It doesn't have to have its way. And so there are so many times that I must, because Joan's like really smart and she's a good leader and she loves Jesus and she has good ideas, and I say, let's do this. And she says, well, what about this? And I say, that's better. We'll go you. Let's go. We submit. There are times when parents need to submit to the wisdom of their kids. There are times when teachers need to submit to the wisdom of their students. There are times when employers need to submit to the wisdom of their employees. The posture heart of Christian is we submit. We're not here to be in charge. We're not here to tell everyone what to do. We're here to submit. So that's the first mark of leading well and loving well. A second one right along with it is service. Jesus served people. He washed the disciples' feet. People said, will you heal me? He served them by healing. He submitted and served his Father. And if the creator of heaven and earth did not consider submission and service beneath him, neither should we. And as husbands, we submit and we serve our wives. It says, in the fear of the Lord. That is, that word fear is phobos. Like we get phobia. The idea is that if the creator of heaven and earth submitted to his Father, he submitted to his disciples, he's the creator, he submitted to people who said, will you do this? Then out of a fear of being in arrogance by saying, we won't, you don't go there. We serve, we submit. A third word that just kind of helps fill in how do you love well and lead well is respect. And for this one, I want us to go to 1 Peter chapter 3 and verse 7. And as I said earlier, in this church, we don't shy away from controversial or difficult subjects. We go straight on. There's a phrase in this verse in 1 Peter 3:7 that's a bit dicey, but we're going to face it. So here's the verse. It's about husbands respecting their wives. It's how we lead. Husbands, in the same way, be considerate as you live with your wives, and treat them with respect. Here's the dicey phrase: as the weaker partner, and as co-heirs with you of the gracious gift of life. They're equal in their equal ground, level ground, co-heirs. We're inheriting salvation together. We're partners. I'm not above Joan. Joan's not above me. We're not below. We're together. So treat them with respect, both as the weaker partner and as co-heirs with you in the gracious gift of life, last phrase, so that nothing will hinder your prayers. Weaker partner. Don't read too much into this, and don't read too little into this. Weaker. Physically, it's absolutely true. I mean, there are a few roided women who can out-arm wrestle most men, but generally speaking, overwhelming, men are stronger than women. Women are the weaker partner, physically. Another perspective on the weaker partner, which is also a strength. 2/3 of women, 66, 67% around the world, are heart-driven in their decision-making process. So when they decide, should I buy this, should I do this, should I confront there, should I go there, when 2/3 of women, their initial filter for making that decision is their heart. How will it make me feel, and how will it make my friends or them feel? It's a feeling-based decision-making process. 2/3 of men are brain-driven in their decision-making process. Does it make sense? Is it logical? Now, there are strengths and weaknesses to both of them, but when we call women emotional, there's some basis for that. Because 2/3 of women make decisions out of their emotions. That's their first filter. In that sense, we can say, oh, they're kind of the weaker because they're emotionally driven. But it's also a tremendous strength and a virtue. Okay? But where we want to park on this verse is it says, be considerate and treat them with respect. And then this phrase, so that nothing will hinder your prayers. There are 15 plus specific reasons given in the Bible where God may choose not to answer our prayers. And most of them fall into the category of bad attitude and sin. And so a husband is saying, oh, Lord, help me with my job, and I'm a little tight on the finances, and help me to find another, whatever it is. He casts a care on God. And God sometimes hears those prayers, and he says, whoa, time out. Whoa. So you want me to help you with your job? You want me to help you with your finances? So you want me to do something for you? Oh, okay. But I've asked you to do some things for me too. I mean, that's a healthy relationship, right? We serve each other. I'm willing to serve you. I like answering your prayers. But there is one person on this planet of 7.5 billion people that is more important to you than anyone else on this planet, and I've asked you to treat her with respect. And so you have the audacity to come to me and say, God, will you help me with my job? Will you help me? I've got a cold. Help me to get over my cold. You have the audacity to ask me to serve you, but I'm asking you to serve me by respecting the most important person on the planet. And you aren't doing that. So no, I'm putting a hold on that prayer. Now, we don't have to be perfect, obviously. If we had to be perfect, none of our prayers would be answered. And whatever you do, don't walk out of here saying, oh, if I'm a little snappy with my wife and I disrespect her, the next prayer, it isn't going higher than the ceiling. I mean, John, it's not that. But we're supposed to hear the importance of what God is placing on respecting our wives. That's how we lead them. That's how we protect them. That's how we love them. We treat them with respect. There are a bunch of men, and their prayers don't go higher than the ceiling because they don't respect their wives. The last one, we've kind of touched on that, and that's protecting, and Adam didn't do that. This is the spiritual protection. And I believe that the two best ways to be a protector spiritually in your home, men, are to pray with and for your wives. To pray out loud. It's intimidating. A lot of people are insecure, but I believe that the single most important thing a husband can do to be a spiritual leader in their home is to pray out loud with and for their wife and children. And the second thing, be a leader and saying, we're going to church, we're going to connect with God's people. Those two things, I believe, are way up at the top for what it means to be a spiritual leader and protector. Men, you don't need to be a better Christian than your wife. You don't need to be better at Bible studies. You don't need to be better at Bible trivia. But you need to be a leader. And God has assigned you to lead and to lead well. And you can do this. God never is asking us to do something we can't do. You can do this. There's a men's retreat we have in this church, and I think we usually run it twice a year in August or in February, March somewhere. And our next one's August 23 to 25. It's called Men's Encounter. I've been on it, been twice. It's the best men's retreat I've ever been to. And the next one's August 23 to 25. And in the next little video I want you to watch, you're going to hear a little promo, just a little push to consider going to Men's Encounter. And I hope a bunch of you do, that you can just get over your fear and your insecurity and your flimsy excuses about not having time, and you'll actually do this, okay? But more than any promo about a men's encounter, I want you to hear the story of the heart shift of a man who's trying to learn how to love and lead his wife and family.
Things growing up were pretty tough for me. I did not get along with my dad. Never really felt like he cared about me. But I knew that when I became a dad, I wanted to be different. I wanted my kids to really know that I loved them and I cared about them, and I wanted to be the best dad I could possibly be. I was always really close with my mom. But in 2005, she took her own life. I was kind of lost. I never felt like God left me. I was never angry at her or angry at God. But that kind of became a point in my life where I knew something needed to change. In 2009, we decided to leave the church. My wife started seeking for somewhere else for us to go. I was a little bit through with church. Not with God, not with Christianity or anything like that. I was tired of the men in the church and the way they presented themselves. And so I was pretty content with sitting on the couch for a few months. And we finally walked into First MB, and things were different. I decided I needed to really continue this journey that I was on in seeking God and maybe trying to figure out who I really was. Through First MB, I started to get more involved. I don't remember how I got involved in men's ministry, but somehow I wound up on this board with a group of men, and I was all of a sudden a member of men's ministry. Some of the guys went to Men's Encounter. They came back and said, man, you really got to go to Men's Encounter. Through the weekend, I felt God really starting to just work on me. I felt the presence of God really start to well up within me, and it was that calling that God was always there. But maybe I had gotten to a point where I had said yes and stepped forward. I came back, hugged my wife and kids, felt closer to God than I'd ever felt before, and really at that point started owning my faith. I let go of things that I didn't even really think were weighing me down at Men's Encounter. I wanted what defined me to not be my occupation. I wanted what defined me to be who I have inside me, who Christ is to me. I want people to look at me and not see a fireman, but a Christian. I want them to see Jesus.
There was definitely a shift in how he treated myself and the girls. It was more loving. He felt honored to lead our family. Not just I have to be in charge, I'm the man, but this humble walk of, I want to lead you well. And my prayers are to lead our family well. And it was such a posture change.
It was a catalyst for change for me. I came back, maybe not so much a changed man, but a man who wanted to change. It was a path, and this was just another big building block in Jesus transforming me into more of him. It was the start of something big for me.
I think anybody can go to Encounter.
Yeah.
I think when people say, I don't need it, we all need Jesus. And no matter where you are at in your walk, to go and spend a weekend dedicated to him and encountering him, who doesn't need that?
So we'll go quickly, ladies, on following well. So we tried to unpack this. We need a leader and a follower in the marriage. How a husband leads well, now how a wife follows well. 4 quick things, and listen carefully because they'll go quick. Be cautious in your correction. Generally, constant correction does not change behavior. It's called nagging. I know that you're probably right in all your correction of your husband, but I'm just saying, 1 Peter 4:8 says, love covers a multitude of sins, and you don't need to correct him for everything. It's just demotivating for a guy, so choose your corrections wisely. On the positive side, be generous in your affirmation. You got to know your husband's personality. A lot of men don't like a lot of syrup on their pancake. Just tell them, and that's all. You don't need to be all googly about it. Just say, hey, thanks for doing that. And walk off. And you don't need to get all emotional about it. Or if your husband likes lots of syrup, pour it on and do all the emotion. But do what you can to affirm your husband in his leadership, in his good decisions. Pray. When your husband doesn't meet your expectations and you honestly are sitting there thinking, I could probably lead this thing better than he. You're probably right. You're probably right. But that doesn't get you anywhere. So take your frustration to the Lord. Say, Lord, just give me patience. I want to pray about this, okay? So that's my following well advice. In so many ways, a church's health rests on the health of its marriages. And I know a bunch of you. I don't know a bunch of you. I know there are some really rock-solid marriages here. There are some pretty good ones. There are some mediocre ones. And there are some really bad marriages sitting in this room. But no marriage is made worse by the husband trying to lead well. So men, take a little step. I've had these words, kind of bouncing around, prayer and risk and surrender and joy, that kind of are an anchor for me. But the risk and the surrender that it takes to lead, men, you can do this. Is it a risk for you to pray out loud? Yes. Do you need to surrender your fear? Yes. Is it a risk for you to try to make some shifts in your life like Brady and to show more respect and consideration? It's hard, but you can do this. No matter where you're at in your marriage, don't give up. And no matter where you're at in your marriage, you'll not make it worse by leading well, men, and by following well, ladies. It's worth it. It's worth it. I look at that list of what men are supposed to do, the submission and surrender and respect and protect. And I get to the end of a lot of days, and I know I just blew it. I'm not the best husband on a lot of days. But this I have going for me. I love this lady that God has given me, and I will try harder tomorrow in the grace of God. So don't give up, men. It's worth it. It's worth it. It's worth it. Let me pray. Father, I want to pray over the marriages, over the people who are dating, over the people who wish they were married and someday they will. I pray over the divorced who are carrying such pain this morning. I pray for healing for them. I pray that in these marriages represented here that we will, as men, lead well. As ladies, follow well. We are grateful for your Spirit that gives us strength. Help us to depend on you and on our good godly friends every day for wisdom and how to walk this thing called marriage. Thank you most of all that Jesus is the perfect leader. And he calls us to be the follower, for us to submit to him and to seek forgiveness from him. I pray that we might all here establish that relationship with Jesus by putting our faith in him as our leader and pledging our good followership to him. Thank you in Jesus' name. Amen. All right, a couple quick things. One is we have lake baptism next Sunday. Some of you still need to be baptized. You're a Christian. You love Jesus. You've never been baptized. You can sign up. We're also going old school, having a potluck at the front part of that at 6 o'clock. It's going to be great. That's there's more in the bulletin. The second thing is 2 weeks from now, something like that. August 11th is a church family meeting. We got 2 building updates. The first one, we're going to try to answer some questions about a potential building program that we will be taking to you for your affirmation at some point in the next months, but there's a building update there. And hey, listen, there's a second building update. There is a church on the south side of Wichita, 55th South in Seneca, that has given us their building. We have been given a church building. And maybe by not telling you more than that, you'll show up on the 11th, all right? See you later.